So hi everyone and welcome back to the Digital Leaders Dialogue series where I am from XPON. I'm chatting with leaders navigating the real world challenges and opportunities in data, technology and marketing, the things that many of you are facing yourselves. And today I'm incredibly excited about our guest. We're joined by Rahul Ashia, the Senior Data Product Manager at Nine. Now, Nine is Australia's largest locally owned media company. I'm sure everyone listening is very familiar with Nine, either because they're a reader of the Sydney Morning Herald or The Age, or an avid watcher of the NRL, or maybe we've even got a few maths fans as well. Now, Rahul, the media industry, the landscape's constantly changing, like many other industries, driven by shifts in consumer behavior, technology, and of course, the increasing importance of data and AI. Now, in this conversation, we'll be learning more about Rahul, his background, his role, while discussing the role of data and its influence on marketing and publishing at Nine. So, Rahul, please tell us a little bit about your background.
Thanks for that nice intro. I am Rahul, and as I'm the senior data PM for publishing specifically in Nine. So that means like your AFR, the Sydney Morning Heralds, and the like. I have a bit of an interesting background. I obviously did my studies in India, and I started my professional journey as a Shopify store building, like a consultant. So I have built like probably dozens of different Shopify stores back in India, and like again, obviously got all of that ad tech and like martech experience, e-commerce experience from there. I came here to Australia in 2020, I think a week before COVID. So obviously you can imagine new country and COVID lockdown. So it was an interesting time there. From there on, like obviously I worked at a company called Chirpin, built very interesting products in like recruitment world and sports tech. From there, I jumped into Network 10, where I was like the audience and growth product manager. And now I'm here at Nine as a senior product manager. So interesting journey, covered a lot of different domains, and I feel very, very privileged to have had that opportunity.
Awesome, Rahul. And I think one little piece of information you may not have gone into too much detail there is you're actually a previous founder as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that product?
So 2021. So this was like I was still doing my like masters here. And in 2021, I had this like incredible idea in mind, which was bringing books to life. So the way it started was that I'm like an avid book reader. I love reading like fantasy novels and fiction novels. And I was like, am I imagining the right thing? Like when I think of this particular paragraph, am I imagining the right thing? So that led me down into this rabbit hole of building, like bringing books to life, which is like, is there a technology that will allow me to take the content of novels and create a picture out of it, or maybe even a movie out of it, and how I can create that into a business? And that led me to creating a company or like a startup. Idea was that it would be like a two-phase marketplace, kind of like Audible. We get like book authors to come to us and give us their books. We generate a visual, like it could be a TV show or it could be like a movie, whatever they want. And then we have like a customer facing marketplace where they can just come in and buy that experience and then just see it on their big TV, on their iPads. So we were technically dabbling in the world of Gen AI 2 years before it became popular via Chat GPT. So like I was working with like your OpenAI's Dolly and Mid Journeys like 2 years before people even knew about the name. So but it was interesting, and I did have a little laugh when I saw like Sora, which is like OpenAI's video generation model, getting popular. I'm like, we were trying to do this 2 years ago. Obviously, the technology was not there, so we did not succeed. But yeah, interesting experience.
Absolutely. I'm sure that capability and all the learnings that you gathered along that journey would absolutely be helping you today working in both the media space, but also the data and AI space. Awesome. Okay, so let's chat about your role as a senior data product manager for publishing at Nine. So for those that are listening that might not fully understand what that means, can you define what data product management is, especially in the media context?
Okay, so there are like several definitions, but what I like to say is that we take like data as like the raw entity data, and like we try to create a product that fundamentally can be used by a business stakeholder to achieve something. So it could mean campaign performance for someone. It could mean the ability to predict the performance of something else. It might mean like building like a personalization engine or things like that, but fundamentally manipulating data to deliver products and items that can be used by someone to like fundamentally do their job.
That makes sense. So, okay, in terms of the primary stakeholders then within the business, who is generally coming to the data team or the data product team looking to, access and leverage that data? Is it always marketing, or are you working with other operational parts of the business?
We have a vast variety of stakeholders. So marketing is just like one subset of it. Like obviously being in media industry, specifically news, which is real time, like life cycle of a news article is a couple of hours, right? So we have a very, very strong stakeholders in our newsroom. So hundreds of journalists and editors are our customers. We facilitate them with like real-time data to help them make better decisions about like what articles to publish, where to place the articles and things like that. And then we obviously support our strategic endeavors. We support the audience growth teams, marketing teams, your acquisition, engagement, and retention life cycle. We obviously support the product team to help make better decisions that this is what you should build and this is what you should focus on, and then obviously track the entire performance of a product that they might have built. So like pre and post, we are pretty involved with the product teams, tech teams. Obviously being an advertisement driven business, we also have our very strong stakeholders in our ed tech and commercial teams. So very, very big variety and a lot of different type of data that we need to manipulate. So never a dull day in publishing, as I like to say.
I'm slightly overwhelmed just hearing that list of stakeholders and the people you have to interact with and essentially serve as customers. So yeah, I'm very appreciative of just having your time today, because you must be a very busy man, you and your team. Now, obviously you've got the complexity of stakeholders, but you've also got the complexity of data sources and the volume, I'm sure, of data as well. How do you, as a team, sort of manage both the input and the handling of data, but then also the output and the sharing of that with multiple stakeholders?
Good question. And I think like this is where like a function of a data product is really, really important. Like we fundamentally act as a bridge between like the raw data and the data engineering capability and the business stakeholders. So first of all, it fundamentally means that we need to understand the business very well. So again, let's say subscriptions, like we have a obviously subscription driven business in like City Morning Herald and AFR. We need to first of all understand the business requirements that yes, we want to be able to report on acquisitions and retentions and things like that. But how do you translate that into a language or like the requirements that the engineering team will understand? So it really comes down to us understanding data very well. Like unlike like a normal product manager, we really, really need to know how data works. And that helps us like figure out what are the requirements or what are the things we are trying to achieve. Because sometimes it's not just one single data source that we need to bring together to answer a single question. It might be 10 different data sources, each doing slightly different things that we need to identify and then like bring together so that we are able to answer or serve a particular stakeholder. So it really comes down to us developing our data skills as well, and just leveling it up with the team and the business as it goes along.
How do you go along educating other stakeholder groups around the use of data and the management of data and how they can interact with your team? How do you bring them along that journey?
Yeah, that's something of a key focus for my team as well. Like I'm very into like educating and building like the data culture. So again, even just in the last few weeks, I have run like several workshops to educate people on how to use certain tools. What does data mean? How the data terminology, like, how do you set like your okay? What are KPIs? How do we track that? So it has been like a journey, like because not everyone is that involved in data or understands how it works. For some people, it's as simple as that. Can you tell me how many page views there are? But to get that information, that journey, that's something not a lot of people are able to appreciate. And that's something of a focus for us. We want people to know if you're asking us something, this is why it is taking us a week, a month, or maybe a quarter to deliver. So that's something of a key focus for us. So training for people on obviously data processes, but alongside that, we also upskill them in using our data in like a more of like a self-serve manner, so they can just go into a tool and pull out the data that they need. So it is a complex process because several stakeholders will be at a different maturity level, but I think we have found a good balance of like how much to focus on each stakeholder.
Understood. It must be challenging at times, I guess, prioritizing and managing different stakeholder requests and requirements. Now, obviously, I have a marketing background, and a lot of the teams that we engage with or that listen into this sort of podcast are from marketing and commercial backgrounds. So could you share a little bit more around the specific relationship between your team, data, and the marketing team? And maybe if you're happy to share some of the, I guess, the key use cases that come up continuously between data and marketing at Nine?
Absolutely. So Nine, again, like the marketing and commercial functions, they are very, very data driven. Like, as I like to say, like your MarTech and EdTech are like, the data is the lifeline of both these things. Like, if you don't have good data, like everything falls apart. So with like, obviously our marketing team, we are pretty involved in like the end-to-end process of like having the targeting capabilities. Like we have really, really strong like in-house implementation of something called Snowplow, which allows us to track every single thing on the website and allows the marketers to find the data parts they need to create like really personalized journeys. We obviously onboarded a CDP 1 year back, and it is something the marketing team is very keen on leveraging in the future. And alongside that, like obviously alongside the targeting capabilities, we need to offer really robust like reporting functions. So again, for publishing or marketing, the key goal is converting subscribers. So we need to have that really, really robust ability to like report on what campaign worked, why did it not work, what conversions did it lead to, so that they can obviously better optimize in the future and just like get the ROI as high as they can. For commercial, like we support them quite a bit with like in terms of making strategic decisions on what to, or where is there is an opportunity to do certain like campaigns or like a different type of like inventory optimization and things like that. So we help them make these decisions. And tech is a little bit out of our remit right now, but they are customers of the data team as a whole, because like CDP is driving all of the advertisement right now. And obviously you need to have a really, really clean and nice, like things like your data layer, which allows you to do really pointed and personalized targeting of ads. So really interwoven with the process. And we also support like the reporting for the commercial campaigns.
Thanks for sharing that insight. So you've talked a little bit about the interaction with marketing and the technology. Is it the goal of the data team to try and make these technologies, these requests, these use cases as self-serve as possible for the marketing team, both to, simplify your interaction and make sure that there's no roadblocks, back and forth between marketing and data? Or like, how do you handle the requests?
Very, very good question. So first of all, like there are like several different definitions of self-serve. Like you can go for a data analyst, self-serve might mean really different things compared to like editor. So there are like a bunch of definitions that we always have this debate in the team that what is self-serve. But yes, definitely the idea is to empower stakeholders to like feel confident in their data like analysis. So there are like a couple of ways we achieve that. Like obviously one is tooling. Like we need to have like a really, really good tools that makes it like super easy for a business stakeholder to jump in and play around with that. But important to that is obviously how we design these tools, right? Like we just don't go and dump all the raw data into the system. Like we need to be very strategic that, okay, if we are creating something for a particular business domain, can we create a really, really powerful, like let's say a dashboard that can answer like 80% of their high level questions? So that's again where like the data product like plays a really important role. Like we go in and understand each business unit's like problem really well, so that we can build a powerful data product that can serve a lot of their needs. Where we really like jumping in is when it's a really, really complex request. Like there are simple requests that, hey, can I get the time spent on this particular section of the website on this particular date? That's easy to do, right? Because again, if we have done our jobs right, you can just go into a dashboard, slice and dice, bam, you get it. When it gets really, really complex, right? When you're trying to make a decision or when you're trying to forecast something, these are the kind of like the meteor data analyst requests that we like to obviously serve, which might take us a week or two to generate, but it delivers a lot of business value. So like there is a balance that we like to strike. Like do your simple request yourself. The complex ones come to us, and to just like cap it up nicely. Like we, as I said, we like to do a lot of like training. So we go into each business domains and we talk about like what are the requirements. We train them on the tools that we deliver to them, that this is how you use it. This is the definition of this thing that you're using. And this fundamentally upskill their data capabilities so that they understand better. They understand the data they are using better, and they make really, really high quality requests back to us. So they know that when should I engage the data team.
You mentioned a few things that really just, it sounds like it's simplifying, the workload for the other stakeholder quite significantly. There's something that I've been seeing a little bit where organizations, building LLMs on top of their dashboards or on top of their data sets so that, the marketing user can go into a dashboard and essentially query that data in natural language to then pull out the insights that they want. So instead of having to maybe go into a data analyst type request, what are my top performing products for this quarter, or my highest value cohort from a certain country or whatnot, they can write that into an LLM and actually have that, query the data and draw the answer for them. Is that something that is, an aspiration for your team or on the roadmap at Nine?
Definitely. Like, obviously, we have seen all the demos that and the videos that you're seeing on the internet, like on how AI has really like democratized data analysis. But again, like the important thing with AI is like getting the foundations right. Like you may have heard this garbage in, garbage out. Never has that been more accurate than with AI. Like if our data quality is not high enough, if our fundamentals are not strong enough, I'm pretty sure no AI can give you a really good insight. But yes, that's the dream state. Like we have this really clean, nice data, and then you put an LLM on top of that, and that just supercharges your stakeholders to do a lot of the, not even like the small requests, like some of the decent, like interesting pieces. I think LLM are really, really well established to be able to do some of these requests.
Well, like you said, they are sort of marketing videos that we're seeing that are out there, and marketing is selling the dreams. So, it's no surprise. We'll get there eventually, I'm sure. I think that's a nice segue because when we were talking about this podcast, this conversation earlier, you said, let's talk about AI, but let's go beyond the hype bubble. Tell me more about why you wanted to specifically go beyond the hype.
But the idea is that like right now what I'm feeling is that a lot of the use cases, they have got that like snake oil, like merchant feel. Like it's a basic thing that I could have done in 2 steps. Now I'm able to do in a single step. And sometimes the value proposition is not even that good. You obviously have followed along how Apple is struggling with finding the use cases. Like fundamentally, we have this incredible technology, but all people are doing with it is writing emails better, which is again a good thing. Like people sometimes are not good at writing emails, but I think there are like significantly better use cases for this, as you can see in like some niche industries, like obviously genome sequences and sequencing in the medical industry. The mineral industry is doing some fantastic like alloy creations using AI. So obviously there are some really, really strong use cases for the platform. But I read a study couple of weeks back where it says that 80% of the current use cases for Gen AI, they are bound to fail. It's only going to be that 20% who really, really zeroed in on like the customer problems and identifying opportunities, who will survive in like couple of years of time, because the technology is costly to run, and everyone is obviously jumping right now because hype is good for share value. So I feel like a lot of the companies have prematurely jumped into AI and this are trying to find a problem for a solution they've already got. So, and another point that I'm not that big of a fan of is everyone is thinking in terms of people elimination, that it will allow us to reduce our posts of 2000 to let's say 1500, something like that. That's not a good approach. Like I'm thinking of this in terms of time to value minimization. So whatever, like if you look at all the use cases that Gen AI has got, it's fundamentally, it's reducing the time it took you to do something. If the time it took you to write email reduced from 1 hour to let's say 5 minutes, time it took you to generate, let's say, image in Photoshop from 1 day down to 1 hour. So it is reducing the time to value of every single thing. So if we take it to like the product development life cycle, right? Like things like your discovery, definition, development, and monitoring, and apply that same logic there, I think we should be thinking, how do we get someone to do more with what they have? So that's how my take on AI, but let's see where the world goes.
I like it. It's slightly more pessimistic than what you hear most people say. It's good to have a different perspective. What do you see as those, high value use cases when you are thinking about AI then? Because it sounds like, there's a few that you clearly see as, somewhat valuable, but not really powerful. Like what's really valuable to you?
I think like what it will enable in the very near future, and it has already enabled some to do that, is to create like your superpowered product managers right now, because obviously you have like domain specialist product managers who someone would probably come from design and really focus on the UX of things. Some might be technical product managers, data product managers. So we become specialists in some things, but what AI has allowed us to do is like even out our like shortcomings. So let's say someone who was like a really good, like a design based or UX based product managers, now they are able to understand technical concepts really quickly. So what one might have taken them a quarter to like go in and study in YouTube or something like that, they can get their answers very quickly. So it has allowed the product, especially the product people, to find and optimize ways of working considerably. So let's say I'm doing a discovery for certain things. What might have taken me like a month or 2 months, I can probably down to it in a week or so. Like, I can create like artificial personas and then just throw a problem at them and create a focus group of artificial personas so that they go and debate my ideas with like 17 different perspectives. And that would have taken me a month, a lot of money to get the people in focus groups to do. I can just sit in my desk and just get that focus group going. So it has like fundamentally redesigned, like so revamped the way I do work. So from my, let's say, product discovery, it has changed how I do definition. Like instead of going with just high level requirements to my engineers, I can actually flesh them out considerably. I can just add in a lot of the technical nuances that I might not have understood and give them a really clean requirements right from the get-go. For developers, obviously, it has like shortened or made development considerably easier. And finally, like let's say talk about like your business outcomes, then your product people can just really easily go in and say that what was the impact of this feature? As we just earlier established, like, introducing natural language in your dashboards. So it just significantly reduced the time at every single step. And now if you just take it across the entire enterprise, what like a team of 10 people could do now, like were doing earlier, now they can probably do 100 people's worth of work in the same time frame. So that's how I'm thinking. Like this, I'm a product manager, so it's my thoughts are mostly around product management, but obviously a lot of people are using it in a really interesting manner.
Yeah, there's definitely so much opportunity. Could you share anything on how Nine's approaching AI?
So Nine understands the importance of AI. Like we know it's a game changer for a company, like especially if we do the implementation right. To that point, we obviously are building a really strong AI product capability. We are hiring for AI product managers. Like the AI team is a standalone team, which will be enabling a lot of the AI use cases at Nine. So very exciting times ahead.
Awesome. And similarly, is there any changes, I guess, to your technology approach to support that shift and further adoption in AI?
As like said earlier in the chat, the foundations need to be really strong. Like we know like AI is coming, it will just only get better. So where we can jump in is ensuring that our data quality is like absolutely incredible. So like it's clean, it's structured, it's high quality data that makes sense to an LLM so that it just picks it up and then is able to generate really high quality insights. So we understand the importance of like fundamentals and getting them right. So that's what like we are focusing.
Thank you, Rahul. Now, I have to ask this to everyone who comes on the podcast. What excites you about, the future of data, the future of AI, but also what excites you about the future of data and and marketing at Nine as well? Give us both lenses just for our marketing audience.
So I think like the one big and like a great thing that has happened because of the AI like revolution in the last 2 years is that everyone has realized the importance of high quality data. Like you want to have the breadth across your business that, okay, we have got this variety of data and you want to have the depth of data that, okay, we need to be able to go down to this granularity to answer certain questions. So AI has brought that to the forefront. Everyone is realizing that, wait, like we need to do our AI initiative. Well, it will take you 2 years of data cleanup to get to that point. So that has been a really, really great to see. People are educated and like are empowered to think more about like cleaning the data if they want to get to AI. So that has been really, really good to see. And it obviously plays really nicely into my role as well, because I liked having really clean and nice data. So I love the conversations where people come to me and say that, hey, like we have got this particular issue or this particular behavior we want to track, and how do we surface that behavior up? And obviously the future lens, like how can AI jump in and help us out with certain use cases? So that has been fantastic to see. For marketing, I think the big one will be, as I said, empowering the marketers. So earlier, obviously, there was like sometimes there would be a lot of dependence on engineers, depending on what platform you have got, and the flexibility and the power a marketer had like was pretty limited depending on what tool they were using. But with things like your agentic AI, which can just fundamentally change the way you do work, or like the way you set up like certain campaigns, the way you create certain systems, this thing has got the opportunity to fundamentally make marketers as well like supermarket. So like my approach to AI is like making everyone super powered. So I like saying supermarketers, because that's what AI is going to enable to do. You take every single aspect of being a marketer, from again identification or like campaign creation, like the creatives for the campaigns, you can just do it yourself now, right? Just create a really personalized campaigns or the campaign creatives for people. You can actually use Gen AI to personalize the creatives as well. So think in the future that not a single email, like if you're sending 100,000 emails, all 100,000 of them have got like really personalized creatives as well, like the colors, the designs, and everything is also personalized alongside the content, of course. So, and then obviously tracking the end-to-end journey. Like I feel like we can significantly improve the way we do attribution using Gen AI, like attributing certain activities to certain campaigns. I think there's a significant opportunity there. So exciting times ahead. I think, as I like to say, imagination is your limit. Just if you can think it, give it a try. Maybe AI can help you do it. Otherwise, that's your next startup idea.
I love it. And there's two key themes that I think you've repeated there, which I say and the team at XPON says, and even Shad, who was on our last episode, says. And that's, bad data in, bad output. And then the other thing was, the supercharging humans. We say instead of human powered AI, when you think of people prompting your typical LLMs, you've got AI powered humans, and that is essentially the superpower that you're referring to. So that's a nice, really positive, I think, note to finish on, given a great conversation around all things data technology, AI, and some insight into Nine and their strategy as well. So thank you so much, Rahul. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your time with us, given you're extremely busy and in demand by a lot of stakeholders at Nine. So thank you. We appreciate it. We'll chat to you again soon.
Thank you.